will begin a conversation, and at some point, if you have some things that you would like to ask or add, that you will do so. Does that sound okay to you? My guest is Michele Meyer. Yay! And in just a moment, I'm going to have a conversation. So Michele is a senior in high school at Leander High School. There we go. One of the L's. Leander High School. And also a member of our youth group here. I'm going to talk with her about a remarkable, unique peak experience, at least for me as a theologian. This sounds like, you know, it may be all downhill from theology camp one summer. We're going to talk about that, but first, a brief announcement from your youth leader.
Oh, yes. Hello. So for youth who are interested in being delegates for convocation this year, come see either Debbie or myself. There's 1 week left to register. So really quickly on it and get to us quickly. We'll get you the link.
So I'm going to repeat that so that in case you are listening in, you'll hear that through the microphone. Does that seem like the right idea? If you are in the youth group, if you are interested in being a delegate to convocation, diocesan council, you have a week left to get registered. So talk with Dimri or with Elle about that. Okay? Good. Hey, welcome again. Glad you all are here. Thank you, Michele, for being here with us.
Thank you.
Let's begin by just telling us a bit about the experience you had at Swanee. Like, what even is that? What did you do this summer?
So SUMMA is a theology summer camp or debate summer camp. It's a 8-9 week or 8-9 days that we spend there overnight. We spend the night at Swanee, the University of the South. And over the course of time there, we spent time preparing for a debate over our resolution. So 2025 resolution this year was the use of artificial intelligence is unchristian. So we debated over the fact, the affirmative side and the negative side. The negative side is not the use of AI is Christian, but the use of AI is not unchristian.
Not unchristian. So that's double negative there. University of the South.
Yes.
Where is this place?
Tennessee.
Tennessee. You were there for 9 days.
9 days.
In July?
July, yeah, okay. Late July.
Late July. And it's called SUMMA Camp.
Yes.
That some of you may know, but there's probably very little reason you would, that this comes from the medieval Latin way of describing the discipline of theology. The big works of theology were called the SUMMA Theologiae, the sum of all theological wisdom. And so this was like a work that a person or a group of people would do. They would sort of put together all the arguments and see if they could make sense of the thing. So I have lots of questions about that, but I think my first question is just what on earth drew you to SUMMA Camp in the middle of Tennessee in July?
So I already knew about Swanee. It's one of the colleges I'm looking at for applications, and just by a great chance, I was scrolling through Instagram one day, as all teenagers do, and I had come across the Texas Diocese, and a SUMMA post had popped up. So I screenshot it, sent it to my father, and he said, "We're gonna get you to apply immediately." So it was amazing. So social media isn't all that bad. It gave me a great opportunity.
That'll
so
be
really
next year's resolution.
Yeah.
Social media.
Yeah. But yeah, so I was just by chance.
That's fantastic. So I have heard of this camp. I have colleagues at at the seminary, the Episcopal Seminary at Swanee, and I have known about this camp for probably, I've just seen advertisements and things for years, but I've never known anyone who went. And I don't know, it was probably May or June that Michele approached me after service one day and said, "Have you heard of this? Is this a good thing?" And I was immediately really excited for her and really excited to sort of send a spy to find out what they're doing at Swanee. and I wanted you to have a great experience, and I also wanted you to come back and say, it'd be really cool if another way better seminary would do something like that, but whatever. I'm glad your experience was great. Help us imagine it. Like, about how many young people were there?
So there were 40 high schoolers there.
From all over the country?
Mm-hmm. And the amazing part of it is that SUMMA is not only Episcopalians. It had people who weren't Christian. It had people who were Methodist, Presbyterian, Catholic. So it was really a wide range of religions and different perspectives. So it was amazing that we could all pray and worship together and debate together despite our differences in that
So that was
area.
all part of it. It was not just come and learn debate, but
it was definitely purposeful.
Yeah, prayer well, how did the days go? Like, was it like, pray, boot camp, go to bed, get up and do it again, or how did it go?
So a typical day was getting up at around 7, heading down to McClurg Dining Hall for breakfast. After that, we headed into our theology lecture, which was held by Father Warren. He's one of the priests there. And he just kind of taught all things theology. We took notes, prepared for it. One of the big things that we learned at that time was Christian virtues. And so we kind of just went over kind of those in a nutshell and how they'll help our debate. After those lectures, we had our free time, of course. It's a summer camp. And then we had our lunch. After that, we had our debate lectures, and that was held by Dr. Melody Lynn. She's the SUMMA program director. And it was just all about debate etiquette, what to do, what not to do. But it also heavily linked theology and debate together. How can you use theology and what we learned in our debates? And then after that, it was really up to us what we want to do with our free time. We had our debate prep time. And so one of the, I guess, kind of like a slogan or like a motto that SUMMA uses is, you speak in truth and you speak in love. So speaking in truth was just pure preparation for our debates, making sure we weren't just speaking just blah stuff and we weren't making up things as we went along.
Yeah.
The speaking in love part was the fact that we were all a child of God, therefore we must all love and respect one another, treat others the way you want to be treated.
Yeah.
So that motto just kind of stuck with us as we went along, and that was kind of what we lived by throughout those 9 days.
So many of us are familiar with debate, have been in high school, maybe college debate classes or clubs, and I think maybe just a basic question is, why is that sort of skill of arguing, sort of the discipline of arguing well, why is that something that Christians would do? How does that have anything to do with theology, with a life of faith, with spirituality?
So one of the things that was really amazing is after each lecture we had seminar groups. So it was 40 kids, so it's impossible for every single one of us to get in a word during those lectures, and often we didn't get to finish our entire lecture because we had so many questions and so many new ideas. So those seminars, those smaller groups give us an opportunity to share what we wanted to share. But it also sparked miniature debates within those. And within those miniature debates, our minds were kind of opened. We had new perspectives. We had new ideas that we were learning. At some points, we had to pause because debates got too heated, and we needed a mediator to say, "Hang on a minute, let's pause. Let's restart." So it's overall, it's very important because without debate, we wouldn't be able to learn about different ideas, different perspectives, different points of view. And within debate, it's very important that you learn to also respect the other debater and their ideas and their perspectives, because if you don't, then there really isn't a debate at all.
Yeah. You said how did you say it? The slogan, the motto, speak the truth and speak in love. How is it? Basically what I was. Speak the truth is an interesting one because I'm assuming that as like your assignment was to argue for a side. Were you assigned these sides or did you choose them?
So
Just figure out which one's true and speak that one. But it sounds like what you were discovering was that there was something about digging into both sides, digging into the affirmative, digging into the negative, that maybe sort of let truth emerge in a new way. Is that, would you say it that way?
Yeah.
Or how are you speaking the truth if you try to argue both sides?
well, the hard part is that the resolution is it's purposefully vague. So it allows you to speak truth no matter what side you're on. Because saying that the use of AI is unchristian is just such a big claim to make. And so kind of just dissecting it more, well, what's behind AI? Who's using AI? AI requires human input for that to work. At least now it does. But it's, when you, speaking truth was more so making sure that you aren't making things up as you go along throughout the debate. Because what happens is that debating negative and affirmative, they were both true.
Yeah. So in that sense, the sort of the preparation that you're doing, the conversations that you're having, the like really digging in and discerning the big questions, that's all part of speaking truth. Like I love that way of defining it, like making sure you're not making things up. Not making sure that you say you take the right position, but making sure that whatever you say in this context, you say it responsibly, and you say it with as much authenticity and research as you can summon. It's reminding me, there's the text, I think it's in one of the pastoral epistles, I believe it's 1 Timothy, about always be ready to give an answer for the faith that you have. There's something in there about like, we may think of the sort of the Christian language, Christian speech is just sort of speaking from the heart, speaking authentically, but not like wrestling things out and trying to figure out, let's see if we can discern whether this thing is Christian or unchristian. But I love the way that you're presenting it as, there's an important place for that. There's an important place to say, how can we think so deeply through this issue that new things emerge, that we understand what's true in a way that we didn't before, even maybe if we don't even come to the right answer. At the end of the debate, did you feel like everybody was like, hey, we solved it? How did you, what did you think at the end?
Personally, I felt like my opinion on it was changing with every debate. So for me, I debated the negative side once, and I debated the affirmative side 3 times.
Same resolution?
Same resolution. So it was, everyone definitely agreed it was harder to debate the negative side of it just because
and the negative side is, it is not unchristian, to use AI. I got it.
Just because it was so hard to find different books, different sources on it. There were more sources online about saying that it was unchristian, not that it's not unchristian. And so at the end of it, I couldn't really decide because ultimately it's up to the user and how they're using it. So if you want to say that, and after SUMMA, I went and I asked ChatGPT, are you Christian? Are you? Just to see.
Amazing.
Just to see. And it gave me this long answer saying, no, I'm not Christian, I'm not human, I'm artificial intelligence, but I can help you if you want. I said, no, this is a yes or no question. Are you Christian or are you not Christian? And I said, this is crystal clear, answer it for me. And I got a no. Period. Yeah. So that kind of answer was like, well, there's my answer. And so backtrack for a minute. During our debates, we had to define certain things within our debates. So I defined unchristian as not abiding by your baptismal covenant or by your confirmation vows. Of course, though, that's limited to Episcopalians because I received that from the Episcopalian website. So I kind of went into, well, it's not abiding by the Apostles' Creed, or the Nicene Creed. Now that's more universal because you want to stay universal, right? You don't know. We didn't know who we were going to debate until the tournament came, and so not everyone was Episcopalian. We had Catholics, we had atheists, and so it was hard to kind of think, well, what's a universal thing I can use?
Yeah, a universal definition of what makes a Christian. That's great. That's great. So there's a couple. So one of my favorite parts of this whole experience for you was that you got your colleagues in the youth group involved. Tell us a little bit about that.
So I could not figure out how to figure out my negative or my affirmative side, and it was like the maybe like the 5th day, and I had like a paragraph ready for each case, and that was it. So I called Father Miles, I texted him and I said, I need help. I don't know what kind of scriptures to use. I don't know how to fight for either side. So we said, okay, let's talk in between services. Then I heard a bunch of voices in the youth group that morning, and I was like, wait a minute, I'm getting a lot of opinions now. And so I heard different things saying like, well, when you look at it, are people using it in the right way? Like, what are the examples of AI? How do we use it? So that made me think, okay, now I got to kind of dissect and figure out how it's currently used today. And so that helped me a lot. Without it, I think I would have lost every single debate 100%. And so just kind of talking about it and putting it into words was easier for me because I'm a conversational learner. So I learned by talking to other people and being able to put what I learned into words. So that kind of goes back to you need different perspectives in life to be able to kind of broaden your horizons and be able to learn different things, because without it, you're really limited. So you don't really know what else there is in life.
You sent me affirmative and negative speeches.
I did.
And I want to read just a couple parts of this, because
Okay.
some of this I just think is really brilliant. Clearly, your conversation with the youth group sort of gelled some things, because there's just some really great work there. So the affirmative speech, and remember, affirmative is saying the use of AI is unchristian. I'm telling you, of course remember, you're reminding me, but reminding all of us. Here's part of, it's a long resolution, but a few of the arguments that Michele used to argue that the use of AI is unchristian. If AI is not made in the image of God like we are, that is, it's unable to love, to repent, to show mercy, how can we entrust it with the roles God gave to us, with human hearts and minds? AI cannot embody the image of God. It doesn't know brokenness or redemption. It cannot forgive or love. Yet we are gradually handing over tasks that require love and faithfulness. When AI decides which resume deserves attention, for instance, we risk reducing sacred human dignity to data. That is not the Christian way. Follow-up question. My new theology class begins on Wednesday. Will you come teach it? It's so good. I want to read one more from the affirmative. I love this as well. Many times Jesus dodged questions from people seeking to understand the meaning of parables. Think about, there's this great scene from Mark where Jesus has been just confusing people with his parables. And the disciples come to him and say, hey, why do you do that? And he said, I speak in parables so that they don't understand. The strangest part of the Bible. I don't know, there's a lot of strange. It's one of the very strange parts of the Bible. But Michele's working with that. Jesus questions people, dodge questions. If AI gives us easy and instant access to answers to our questions, how does that square up with how Jesus' answer was not yet to his followers' questions? Embracing AI without reflection of spiritual evaluation is foolish. It's a modern-day form of idolatry, worshiping what mankind has made and entrusting it to deliver wisdom. So what I love about this is this sense that that timing is part of how Jesus passes wisdom along to us. Jesus is tuned in to who we are as people and knows that it's not simply quick answers that are going to sort of tune into our humanity, but it's knowing when and how much to give and how to invite us to keep desiring. And AI, Michele, I hear saying is like instant knowledge gratification, and maybe that's just not Jesus' way. So I love these sorts of answers. Just sort of take us to really deep places of wrestling with this question. Like you said, saying something true, even if this isn't ultimately the side that you stand for, you're helping us see something true by just taking us deeper into the question. Mm-hmm. Got to give a couple examples from the other side. So just as compelling of a statement about the use of AI is not unchristian. Today I'll be arguing in opposition of the resolution. Artificial intelligence is a continuously developing technological system that people think could evoke a sense of fear. Fear alone should not determine our theology or our response to innovation. As Christians, we are called not to retreat from a new challenge, but to approach it with discernment, faith, and wisdom. Artificial intelligence, like any human creation, isn't moral or immoral, it's a tool. Can we use it in a way that contributes to human flourishing? That's the question, and I believe the answer is yes. Courage, for instance, is not recklessness or blind optimism. It's faithful confidence in the presence and sovereignty of God, even when the future might feel unknown. She gives an example of this from the prophet Isaiah. And she says, this passage speaks to the moments of perceived threat. It's important to understand that it does not tell us to fear change or advancement. It tells us to trust that God will always remain God, even if human invention expands. Artificial intelligence does not stretch or break God's sovereignty. Christians are not called to shun every new development out of fear, but to meet it with prayerful courage. So good, so good. I want to open it up in just a moment to thoughts, questions that you all have and would like to put into the conversation. But anything that you want to tell us about those arguments or how those about the resolutions as they came to shape. What thoughts do you have about all that?
So part of the reason why I love our seminar groups so much is because it gave me an opportunity to be able to hear everyone else's cases, and the rule is that we were not allowed to debate anyone within our seminar groups. So if we shared our cases, we were totally safe, we were fine. And one of the things that I learned from one of my friends named John Gajan, who helped me with my negative case, is that if we are made in the image of God and God creates, why does that mean that we shouldn't create as well? But the problem with that is that means that we should not create something that has the ability to also create. Because that's God's job. That's not our job. And so just kind of being able to do those things in those seminar groups, and that's something that I think that we're doing here too, within those small groups, that we don't get to say within 40 people, we get to say within 10. And so just kind of that collaboration, that thought process, without that, I wouldn't have any cases at all.
That's fantastic. So in that sense, the question, as it came to shape for you, came to hinge on whether we are further sort of embodying our call to be images of God the Creator by creating AI and exploring the uses of it, or have we created something that invites us to give over that agency of creating within the image of the Creator God to something else? Are we abdicating our humanity as images of God, or are we flourishing in our creation as images of God? A wonderful theological way of framing the question. I'd love to hear thoughts, comments, questions from out here. Yeah, please. So this is a question, I'm just going to say it, repeat it back for those who are maybe listening online who couldn't hear. Which group, older, above 25? Or? So there's maybe a demographic distinction in opinions about the moral questions around AI. Folks above 25 tend to evaluate it based on validity of information that AI produces. Folks under 25, it's more common to raise questions about the environmental impact of these chatbots and AI tools. And the question is, was there any conversation about the environmental impact in particular?
So for the environmental impact, we definitely discussed how it's using a lot of natural resources that we have to keep artificial intelligence running. It's a machine, so it needs energy, it needs resources, and that overusage of it affects our environment as a whole. But I also want to touch on the validity of true fact. AI is not perfect, and I've used it often enough that I can see where it pulls its information from, and constantly it refers to Quora or Reddit. Now that's human opinion. That's not AI's opinion. That's human opinion, and unfortunately that's biased. So it's also shown that AI, because it pulls from that, it has biases. There was some kind of like research or study that I read that kind of proved that AI has gender and race bias because of that. When it was shown just people's faces for a criminal investigation, it chose someone based off of their race and their gender.
Oh, wow.
Because it's pulling off from other people's opinion. So.
No. Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah. So in some sense, we're yeah, something with our technology has taken a big jump. If, a few generations ago, our technology was sort of hand tools, and now our technology is something that analyzes and synthesizes all of Reddit and, basically the internet. Caleb. Uh-huh, uh-huh. Yeah. Yeah, that's a really good point. Yeah, Caleb. Uh-huh. Caleb and Melody are both referring to a famous Zen parable of the blind men touching the elephant and trying to describe what it is that they see, or blindfolded men touching the elephant and trying to describe what they see. And in some sense, even when you're mining individual opinions, you're going around and Caleb's pointing out to sort of a lack of collaboration. If it's here's an opinion, here's an opinion, here's an opinion, what would it mean to actually, is AI enough, maybe is one way of asking the question, to give us the tools to step back and say, what do we think is true, not simply an opinion originating from somebody who has a very limited perspective. Any thoughts about that, Michele?
One of the things that I touched on in my affirmative side very briefly was that fellowship is not meant to be programmed, and it cannot, and it can't replace the fact that there are so many people around us with so many different points of views. And so kind of going off of that, AI is gently kind of eroding human conversation and eroding our desire to reach out to other people and to kind of create an answer or create research based off of other people and their opinions. Now it's just kind of inputting a few words in and getting a whole generated answer, and it kind of defeats the purpose of creating new connections around us.
Yeah, that's sort of going back to your thought about Jesus' parable. One of the beautiful things about being human, I think, is when we have not just sort of casual trivia questions, but really deep, important questions to us. Those questions can't be solved by just a quick factual answer. They are solved by forming relationships, by entering into an educational process, having a mentor, having people that we trust whose wisdom they can share with us. It might take years to kind of come to an adequate answer, which I think is part of what Jesus is doing when he's saying, slow down and let me give you a confusing story. It's sort of step into this slowly. And I love what you're pointing out, which is that there's a deep human dimension that we're at risk, at least, of losing if we think that the only answer we're searching for is the one that chatbots can churn out using valuable resources, can churn out within a few seconds and be like, okay, well, that's done. Moving on. Something's missing in the human experience. Yeah.
Yeah, I was curious if there's any discussion about like how to make it a more Christian tool. Because it seems like kind of a microcosm of what we're called to do anyway. I love the point about, we're creative because God's creative, right?
Yeah.
So we're never going to be able to stop creating, but it's reflective. If AI is reflecting back to us the kind of imperfect world that we created, how do we not only help the world, but it's microcosm as well, how do we help AI become maybe more reflective of like the values we're actually trying to build out?
So the question is, how could we use AI in more Christian ways to reflect more fully the sense that Michele's talked about being creators who reflect who are made in the image of a creative God? How can we use AI in a way that's has more integrity with that theology?
The hope is that AI never becomes synthetic. So I hope that it doesn't have the same abilities that humans do. And one of those, so kind of going into that again, it's currently a tool. And it's up to us to how we use it. And so the hope is that we all use it correctly. We don't use it to cheat on tests. We don't use it to pick out someone to hire based off of their resumes, because that kind of takes away that purpose of us deciding that on our own. Ultimately, it's up to us. We've created AI, so there's no going back and kind of just taking it back and deciding, wait, nope, never mind, I don't want this anymore. It's out there, and it's up to us how we use it. So if we just make each other more aware with how we're using it, and use it as a resource, not as like a wall to rely on, to lean up against.
There's a line here that is worth noting, something you wrote. So we talk a lot about all the many things that AI can do, but Michele has a great way of saying what it cannot do. AI may outperform us in speed and memory, but it cannot grasp the weight of human experience. AI doesn't have the amazing opportunity to live a life full of unique experiences. I think that's the part that I think won't change. And that ChatGPT always tries to tell us when we ask it. It's like, I am not human. And what I mean by that is not that I'm not smart as a human. I am smart as a human. But I can't live a life, and I can't experience a life. And as you say, I can't forgive, and I can't ask for forgiveness. And in all the sort of rich, complicated, beautiful things that make a human life, we can't create something that can do that. And so remembering that it's a tool, and then, as you say, sort of inviting it into our human experience, maybe is a way to do that with integrity, but not sort of giving up, saying, well, let AI do all our human things for us, because that's the part that it can't. Yeah, let's go over here. Kevin. That's good. Yeah. Or did you ask it if it would like to become a Christian?
So that I did ask.
You did.
I did ask that, and
the bishop is coming.
I did ask that, and I did again. It did give me a long answer saying, no, but I can help. But if you want to become a Christian, I can help you, and I can give you different scriptures. Wow. I'm like, no, I'm already a Christian. And I said again, crystal clear, yes or no. And it just gave me no, period. And so what I also did is with my parents is we, on our TV, we screencasted my computer on it, and we inputted every single question or statement from the Apostles' Creed and the Baptismal Covenant. And again, it kind of avoided the question, didn't really answer it, but it was definitely alluding to the fact that it can't do those things. So if it can't do those things, then why are we relying on it?
Yeah. I think we should probably wrap it up, and I know there's lots of folks with questions and thoughts. Maybe Michele would stick around for a few minutes before church starts and answer them. But is there anything else that you want to tell us about your experience, or anything that you learned, high point of it, or what's a final thought that you'd like to share with us about this?
Kind of just going back to the speak in truth and speak in love. That kind of it showed me that there are a lot of times in my life where I don't follow that same thing. And kind of going back to, we are all children of God, no matter what. So we should treat her that same respect, that same love equally. And then that same thing with the small groups. You can certainly ask a lot of questions in a larger group, but when you're in that smaller setting, so many new ideas, so many new debates spark. And it really challenges you. It challenges your faith, and it challenges you to think more about what you're saying, how you're saying it, why you're saying it, and think about the other person's perspective too. Where are they coming from, and that kind of thing.
That's a wonderful takeaway, and I love that there's a sort of a deep irony to it in some ways, I suppose, that wrestling with this question about whether this technology can erodes our humanity or invites us deeper into it. Whatever the answer to that is, the experience itself took you more deeply into human connection, into human relationship, into the virtues that you want to practice, into the way that you want to interface with others and relate to others. And in that sense, it sounds like it was a huge success. Thank you so much.